Change happens every day. It can be positive or negative. It can be small scale or global, as we've all experienced over the past year during the COVID-19 pandemic. But approaching a personal or professional change as an opportunity requires a positive mindset. That's exactly what my guest did today, using opportunity to create a positive change that is transcendent. Brett Harrell is a creative marketing, communications, and strategic partnerships veteran with more than 20 years of agency, sports, and startup experience. He's worked with many brands that you may know, such as Chevrolet, Coca-Cola, Hershey, Nabisco, and Jack Daniels. He began his marketing career in motorsports at NASCAR and then helped rebuild Richard Childress Racing marketing department following the death of industry icon Dale Earnhardt. He left racing to join a professional services startup. Then he held senior positions with marketing agencies in Charlotte and Philadelphia before founding Block Creative Agency in April 2020. And as the pandemic continued, he also launched a new company called UReps, UREPZ, in 2021. It's a platform to empower the business capabilities of student athletes and professional brand builders. Brett, welcome to the Go for Launch podcast.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Well, I always start by asking, where are you in the world today?
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, so probably not too far from where you are actually located. But
yeah, that's right. I'm in the urban paradise, suburban paradise, just say, of Huntersville, North Carolina, which is like 15 miles north of Charlotte. Great place to be all the way around. The other question I want to ask is, what does the C stand for? Your first initial, C, Brett Harrell.
C is just Christopher.
Okay.
But a long time ago, 20 plus years ago, when I started working, I started getting, harassed going through the airport. And this is pre, TSA. So I just applied the C in front of it. But please don't think it is pompous. It's just my first name. I go by Brett, but it works great for SEO.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's probably a lot of Brett Harrells. How many Brett Harrells are there in the world?
Quite a few. There's a politician in Gwinnett, Georgia, actually.
All right.
Not related to him. I'm sure he's a lovely person.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Brandon Utleys out there. There's a doctor somewhere with my name too, but I'm not that smart. So hopefully he gets all the medical queries and I get the digital marketing stuff. But in any event, well, thank you for sharing that. Brett, tell us how you got started as an entrepreneur in 2020, April 2020 of all times, after you've been working with big companies like NASCAR and various marketing agencies.
Yeah, I've always wanted to start my own thing, and I know you're a veteran of startups and ventures. I always wanted to, but you have a lot of doubt, and you have a lot of, it could be imposter syndrome. Do you have enough experience? Are you in the right position to be able to make those changes? And sometimes change happens to you. So it's how you can view it, the mindset you have, and then how you approach it and react to it. COVID impacted a lot of people a lot worse than me. I'm not complaining here, but it did impact me professionally. So I put my ideas together quickly and launched Block Creative within a month of leaving my former employer.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, it's a culmination of things, but there's never a better time than right now to start what you're doing. And unless that's 5 years ago, right? Like you're planting a tree or something.
Sure.
But put all the ideas together and got started. So.
Oh, that's excellent. Now, so is this something you were thinking about, planning ahead of schedule creatively, or did the pandemic force your hand?
I had been thinking about it for some time. I was ready to go my own route, but the pandemic happened and it just moved the timeline up to where I moved immediately. And, when you go your own way and you do your own thing, you can make a lot of choices as to how you want to go about your business, what you don't want to focus on, and what's really important. And I'm very fortunate to be able to make some of those decisions and move the right direction. And fortunate to be, on my feet. So no complaints.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of people were forced by the pandemic to make some hard choices. But as you said, there's never a good time like the present. It doesn't matter when. I mean, you can look back in history and there were some huge companies that were started around the Great Depression.
Yes.
And you know, they probably didn't think that was the best timing either. However, we all know that things are going to bounce back. They're already starting to do that.
Hmm.
As this vaccine rolls out, we get over the hurdles of that. And so fortunately, I think we know that there's opportunity out there. And I think that'll open up as people, you know, either get back to work and they realize, I don't really want to go do the 9 to 5 anymore. Maybe
Hmm.
I don't want to commute. I don't want to do whatever it was that looked like before. Maybe I like working out of the house, or I want to try something completely different. So hopefully other people will be inspired like you were to start their own company. Tell us what Block Creative Agency is all about.
Yeah, Block Creative is about contextual content that resonates with your target audience. It's creative marketing communications. I mean, you're familiar with the pitch, I'm sure. Strategic, media, creative, uh, traditional PR, but digital products. And digital products were really a focal point when I was starting. It's the wave of the future. The future is now, and it's the direction I wanted to go. And actually, the first digital product that Block brought to market was UReps. I had envisioned smaller or more happenstance or fills a void, fixes a problem, automates something products. But as the world was changing and legislation was changing and things happened, um, I wanted to do something that could take advantage of experiences that I've had and also put some positivity into the world and do something for other folks that I myself didn't have that opportunity, 20 plus years ago.
Sure.
So,
So right after you started Block Creative Agency, I imagine you were working with some other businesses, helping them with their digital marketing, but you were also coming up with this idea that you called UReps, RUEPZ. It's
mhm.
like you representing yourself, if you will. Tell us
Yeah,
what the big idea behind that was, and what does UReps do?
yeah, yeah. No, thank you. It was shortly thereafter, launching and announcing Block Creative, that the idea for UReps came about. Currently going on in the college athletics landscape is something called name, image, likeness legislation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a movement to allow student athletes to benefit, monetize, make money off of their name, image, likeness rights, their personal brand. That does not allow them to work with the university's IP or anything else, but it's their personal brand. It also keeps it separate and they are not employees. So it's personal opportunity. That was swimming around, and then COVID related impacts started happening, and I was just laying it out and designing the architecture and the framework and the service platform and some of the marketing concepts for it. And then COVID related, started impacting college sports in other ways and other businesses, right? You had program closures, you had reductions of things. And most notably for me personally, Appalachian State shuttered their men's soccer team, their men's indoor track team, and
Mm.
their men's tennis team. Well, I'm an alumnus of the men's soccer program, so
Okay.
that spoke, pointedly to me. And while that wasn't the inflection point, it did put a little fire under the engine to get things going. So I'd been working on this for over a year. I just announced it in February. But UReps is the self-representation and marketing platform for student athletes, influencers, and club sport organizations. It's a platform where they can represent themselves, they can manage, enhance, market, and monetize their personal brand rights. And it's got a full suite of services. It's in the process of being built out right now and will launch later this summer.
Okay, that's excellent. So you had a background as a student athlete in college at a great
Yes.
university, Appalachian State here in North Carolina. You played soccer. You saw that there was a need because a lot of these colleges, like you, shuttering their programs in COVID, unfortunately, and something like that soccer program, I imagine, was pretty storied. Probably had a lot of tradition, been around for a while, right? And that's a really sad thing to see go at a college like that. where it's a fairly small community, and I'm sure the soccer program enjoyed a lot of fans and stuff back in the day. But what was the impetus behind it? Tell us about the business model. How are you going to make money with UReps, and who pays for what?
Sure, sure. Well, being the background as a student athlete and understanding where they are, in life and the constraints they have and the requirements they have just being students. They have training, they have recovery, they have practice, they have research time, they have travel. There's a lot that goes on. So understanding where they are and their mindset, and then I was in their shoes. When I was 18 to 22, my business exposure and my business acumen was slim to none, right? I had a few jobs, transacting some business, but it was like selling Christmas trees or waiting tables,
All right.
you know. So I really saw what was happening and what is still happening. I saw the need, and then I saw the opportunity the change is creating opportunity. And through this opportunity that I could put together, I can impact positive change on lives of student athletes or influencers or clubs in lots of places. And I could do, by building UReps, I could do something for them that I couldn't do for myself, right? And back then, pre-internet, or right when the internet was coming out, not to totally date myself, but right when it was these things didn't exist. It was just bad email and internet memes. But that was the impetus. But how it's going to make money is by putting the student athletes and the talent users first, and that's the mindset. You can join the platform as a talent user, student athlete, or influencer at no cost. You can have access to the full suite of services at no cost. It's going to be transaction based, applied to who's doing business with student athletes. We're going to have marketplace partners that will help the talent level up their acumen, be that financial, legal, creative, whatever services they need. And it's about giving them the opportunity to make the most of their opportunity right now, but helping them put in place practices and things that will help them in the future. We're not talking NIL. NIL isn't going to make life-changing money for everyone. It isn't equal opportunity for everyone, unfortunately. It's opportunity for those who can have a following or market themselves or create a brand difference.
And define that NIO one more time.
Yeah, NIL, sorry, is name, image, likeness.
Name, image, likeness. I got
yes,
it. Okay.
that is, NIL is what it's known as among student athletes, or name, image, likeness. That's the legislation. But the 1% of student athletes, the household names, the people that are on ESPN, male, female sport, they're going to make the lion's share of the income. They already have agents. They already have teams of agents. They already have these things. This UReps could be used by the 1%, but it's not likely because they already have those items built out. They already have the teams and the agents built out. But for the 99%, how are they going to do it? Are they going to be able to pay an agency or something to do what they need to do? Or if they've got a little hustle, they got a little gusto, and they are willing to conduct business, which they already are, from their phone for everything else, then they should give UReps a try, because we're going to set it up for the 99%. We're going to set it up for the folks that were just like me, a soccer player 20 years ago, that may have been able to do a few things, but I wasn't going to make household name athlete money. It's not going to happen. But could I do a little better than I was doing? And could I set myself up for keeping those disciplines and practices in place for my professional life after school? Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, as an influencer, but especially as we stick to this sort of student athlete model, which is where you're
Hmm.
starting. And I've used other influencer platforms personally
Hmm.
where I go on there and there are different brands saying, hey, these are offers. Like if you write a blog post about our software, for example,
Hmm.
you post that, we think it's okay, we'll give you 25 bucks or whatever it is, right? So
Right.
give us some ideas because I'm just thinking out loud as I'm hearing about UReps that let's say I'm a decent soccer player at Appalachian State
Hmm.
University, or I play lacrosse at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where I went to school, or something like that. And
Hmm.
I'm not the A player, but I am on the team. So, for example, maybe I'm a local restaurant owner, and I just like that halo effect of, hey, Brandon is on the lacrosse team. I'm gonna, give him the opportunity to stand in front of my store one day and make 50 bucks to stand there and do a meet and greet or something like that.
Right.
What are
Right.
some, or a car dealer, or
Right.
things like that. So
Hmm.
what kind of opportunities are you speculating might occur on the platform?
Sure, sure. The platform is a marketplace for businesses and student athletes to engage. And it'll be data backed, which benefits student athletes. It also benefits the businesses because it's transparent, and that will also benefit the schools because they can then track and monitor such information for compliance
Mm-hmm.
and keeping things on the up and up. But what sort of marketing assets that a student athlete or even an influencer could have will be one controlled by NIL, but let's lay them out as they are, right? Of course, there's social media posts and that landscape. What could you make based on that, based on your following and exposure? So
Mm-hmm.
social media is one pillar. Live appearances is another. Endorsements of another. You could do video or your images and that type of thing for advertising. You can even do autographs, and depending on where it nets out, we're going to have a full suite of print-on-demand services available to the student athletes, and we'll guide them
Nice.
through that process so they can monetize at scale if they wish. It's really about giving them a services menu that they can select from of marketable assets that they can go to market with. And it's about lowering their ability to have a digital marketplace, lowering the entrance point to it and maximizing the opportunity from that. That's really what UReps is all about. If you have a following, if you have an audience, and you want to market and monetize to that audience, then you need to check this out. Now, you hit on one there when you're talking about, I'm not the A player, but I can get the halo effect. Well, there's three markets to really consider for a student athlete or an influencer, right? That's your home market, where you're
Mm-hmm.
from, especially for student athletes. That is your school market, where you are
Mm-hmm.
physically. And then that's the internet. The internet market is its own, but they're intertwined, of course, but they are different. You may be from a place, small town in North Carolina or South Carolina or parts unknown. At school, you may be the B player. You may be the C player.
But you're a
You may be
big deal back at your little small town that you came from,
absolutely,
right? Yeah.
absolutely. You may be the biggest deal ever from that small town you came from. So it's really thinking about the markets you
Mm-hmm.
are can play in, and then what your brand is and positioning that you can serve. And
Yeah.
UReps will have educational tools and how-to videos to walk them through some of the branding processes and understanding market value to help them extrapolate intelligence from the marketplace so they can make informed decisions and not just pie in the sky. Because again, the 99% isn't going to most likely make life-changing money. They're
I love
going to
the,
be able
yeah, that's
they're
great
going to be
stuff.
able to improve their position, their opportunity, and that's what it's about.
It's a win-win for everybody because in the example you gave, which I love, is like, let's say I'm from a little small town. Well, everybody's proud to know that I'm a, letter athlete or a,
Hmm.
performing athlete at a major university or whatever. It's inspiring to the other kids in the small community that are coming up behind me, et
Hmm.
cetera. So if I'm a local business person, why wouldn't I want to invest? And of course, I imagine without knowing your business model, I assume, and I would imagine that it's affordable. It's
Hmm.
probably not as much as going and saying, I want to take out a billboard, which is,
Right.
$15,000 a month or something crazy.
Right.
I'm sure
Right.
you can get, sponsor some athletes or influencers for much less than that, but
Yes.
still get some good, benefits out of it. Not to mention the fact that marketing dollars are tax write-offs, to a degree. I'm not an
Hmm.
accountant, so don't quote me on that. But when you add it
Business
up
expense, right?
when you add it up at the end of the year, if I'm a local retailer or whatever, and I'm sponsoring Brett, the soccer player at Appalachian, spending a couple $100s, a couple $1,000, whatever, then I'm going to be able to, write off some of that and get that taken away from my tax bill. So
Hmm.
that, and it sounds like your platform is going to be tracking all of that, making it easy to export, keep, dibs on what you're doing, or whether you're
Yes.
getting paid or you're paying, either
Yes.
side of the equation.
Absolutely. The tech stack is going to be data backed. So there'll be dashboards for monitoring your personal activity and as well as the marketplace's activity. So you can check, or better yet, you can price check and
Mm,
make sure that you're commanding equitable dollar value for your services across the marketplace. You'll be
nice.
able to sort that data. Data, you can sort it in almost infinite ways, right? So we'll have to contain what they can do with it, but intelligence is key, and that's going to help them, along their way. The website also offers educational tools, but we stay up on trends. I mean, I love your Go for Launch e-newsletter. I've been a subscriber for many years. I'm plugging you, of course, but it's fantastic. It's got a lot of great information. Well, information similar to that for the student athlete or for the influencer is available on ureps.com as a library. Because guess what? Athletes are nano or micro influencers. They're
Yes.
already in that 5,000 or less than 25,000 threshold point. So if you think that way and equate them to marketable assets in those spheres, then you already know what sort of drivers they are, what marketplaces they'll hit, what audiences they'll hit, and what's important to your business. Valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. How challenging was it, Brett, to go from idea to actual launch of this thing? Did you have to hire programmers, developers to build this platform, or what?
It's, as you know, and anyone who's led it or worked on a development project, there can be a lot of challenges. But yes, uh, yeah, working with a variety of developers, architects, creatives to help pull it together. I've got several advisors that are within the college landscape, sport executives and SaaS startup executives that are helping me the right way. So is based, the architecture and tech stack is based for, function now, but also functionality at scale and later. You
Mm,
don't want to undershoot or overshoot. You want to build so it is agile and effective.
yes.
So yeah, some days are better than others, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
But you have to remain positive and focused, and keep your eyes on the prize. And when you get down, there's a lot of good reading out there. Ryan Holiday's "Obstacle is the Way," Stoics before him. Even Tim Ferriss's podcast. George Mumford, a late episode, fantastic about mindfulness and how to apply it.
Hmm.
So there's ways of grounding yourself and knowing that you can do what you can do. Keep your eye on the prize and plod forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's some advice you would give to other people who are thinking about starting their own business?
You know, um, First and foremost, sketch it out and walk through the pros and the cons. Boil down your service offering as to what it is, and then completely understand the competition and the target audience. You can walk through I use a marketing project process. It's free on my social feed or available lots of places on in the stratosphere. I put it out enough, but it's 6 questions to ask to operate, and you definitely have to know the competition. And there's a who and what to there, but you definitely have to understand the target audience. And if you know those two pillars, your offering will come between them and bolster them. So that's the best place to start. And like I just said, some days will be better than others,
Yeah,
but you got to stay focused and you got to stay positive.
definitely. Uh, Real quick, just back to UReps for a moment.
Hmm.
How are you planning to market this and get the app out there? You know, especially on it sounds like the college side is a great vertical to hit up.
Yes.
What's your plan for attack there?
Right now, we're building social following, so it's available LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We're testing behind the scenes some other platforms to see how they operate, and that's all organic. And it's about to go full bore into paid. So there's some options there. As soon as the NIL legislation nets out, and we know the rules of engagement, we've got a ambassador program outlined, and we're going to begin to build relationships directly with student athletes and people in the marketplace so they can test, vouch, and validate, and then become, beacons of our message and how they can operate. And, utilization is the best marketing out there, right? Because
Sure.
if it works, if it does what it says it's going to do, and it's easy to do business with, then I want it.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely, man. I think you're onto something. I think a lot of these student athletes are going to be getting some good value out of it in the form of money. So helping them
Yeah.
put themselves through college, because I imagine a lot of these student athletes aren't on scholarship, or their scholarship's not full, so they may still have to try to supplement their income some other ways to get through school. Why not do it on a platform like UReps as opposed to having to go work at the convenience store or whatever
Right.
on their free time,
Right.
which is very limited. I imagine when you're a student athlete, you don't really have a whole lot of extra time to go do a side hustle.
That's right. That's right. And UReps is the platform that they can represent themselves, but they can do it on their own time. And like I said, if you have a smartphone, which almost 99.9% of the younger population does, then you're going to be accessible. And of course, for all those student athletes, if you're curious about building a brand, start documenting now. You'll thank me later for it.
That's right. Well, Brett, this has been great information. Congratulations on the launch of your two different businesses in COVID. Where can people learn more about you guys?
Absolutely. Block Creative Agency is at createwithblock.com. All the social channels are Block Creative Agency, and UReps is UREPZ.com. And we're available on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I
Excellent. Well,
appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. I'll have it all linked over at the show notes page at goforlaunch.io/show 137. Well, Brett, thanks a lot. Again, I wish you the best of luck. Since we're both in the same area, I'll be keeping tabs on you closely, my friend, and looking for your post as this thing rolls out.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you.